Hi, I'm Dan, and I am going to discuss the event editor window part of this program. Most people are familiar with the pattern clips and the use of them to automate parameters of certain functions in plugins and whatnot. So most and what I mean, if you're not familiar with automation clips, simply when you adjust a parameter on a function like volume, and you want to create, an effect over time, a velocity change in this case. You normally go to Tools, and you go to Last Tweaked, and you go to Create Automation Clip. And I think it's funny that ImageLine hasn't made a shortcut key for that. Or I haven't found one. I don't know if there is one or not, but I haven't found it. And let's see, whoops, this is not the one. I'll get to that next. Groove kick. There it is. Yes, I put a groove kick in here already. And trying to figure out why my volume's so low. That's because of the envelope. And the envelope acts as a velocity over time deal for volume. So if your sample, for example, is a little bit too long and you want to shorten up that kick a little bit, make it more snappy, you can adjust this envelope here in the sample window. Anyway, so there's a sample window, pattern clip. You can create a new pattern clip, name it what it corresponds to, give it a color, select it, click it, put it on the pattern or the arrangement window, click it, F7, go on the piano roll, and C5 is the initial fundamental key for the kick sample. If you want to play it out of tune or in a different pitch, you can do that by just hitting other notes, which can be kind of cool. And so I think C5 it was, yes. And I'm going to make these long because of what I'm going to show later. And then F7 again to move out of it. And so normally with the automation clip, you have this here, and then you go, you do this, and there's you zoom in, try But notice I can't get it in between these lines, which might not, really be an issue. So anyway, I believe you can, if you still want to go this route, I think you can go to General Settings. You can go to, what is it, Project? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, and you can increase the time base, and then that will allow you to zoom in further. You should be able to do that. Let's see, move this down. Yeah, it looks like you can, or the lines, nope. It's not giving you additional lines to snap to. So anyway, so that brings me to my next point. The whole reason I'm making this tutorial. Get rid of that. You do not need that. And this is a really cool thing, and I hope people will watch the video past the first few minutes of me babbling to get to this point. So, what's really cool is, so remember, whatever you tweak last is going to be how this is, it's going to work off of. So it's volume in this case. And you go up to this knob up here, the multi-link to controllers knob, right-click it, and edit events. And you'll notice above it says Groove Kick Volume Multiplier Automation. And it does remember previous tweaks. So if you need, for some reason, find that useful, it's there. So edit the events, brings you to the event editor window. Had no idea this existed. There's no There's no buttons up here that bring you to it. There's no shortcut keys. There was no way to accidentally get to it, so I never found it until now. So, and pretty much that's the only way I could find to get to this window, is to right-click this multi-link to controllers window and click that. And then you notice right here it says volume multiplier. That way, so this works like a sample or a pattern clip, basically, and so you have to, if you got multiple ones, you can select those. For example, if I bring this up again, that's, I believe it's mod X. Yeah, mod X is going to be the low-pass filter cutoff frequency. So I can either move that knob here, or I can move the knob here. It really doesn't matter. It's all connected. It's kind of nice to see everything kind of working together. Excuse me, so that it makes your work more fluid. Anyway, so that's the last link. That's the other previous link. So you go up here again, and Modulation X Offset Automation. Click that. Now you click here, and you got the two options. Now before you do anything here, you have to make sure that the pattern here is whatever pattern you want it to be in is selected. You can choose the kick, or you can create a new pattern completely separate. But if you're going to do automations for on functions related to the kick, then it's maybe just makes the most sense to use a pattern for the kick. And I'll show you what that looks like when I get back to the arrangement window. On this here, so in the event editor here, you got the draw tool, the paint tool, and the delete tool, and the interpolation, and I'll get to that. And basically the difference between the draw tool and the paint tool is the paint tool doesn't follow snap, but you can push Alt while you drag left click on the draw tool, and it'll do the same thing as the paint. So anyway, we'll just use the draw tool. If I left click, I draw in the parameters, so kind of like so. If I right click, then it's kind of like intermittent interpolation. See, it's kind of swinging that whole. It's kind of like what happens in the automation clips. Although you can already notice here that you can adjust a lot more finely than you can in the arrangement window in a pattern clip. And so F5 again to go back to the pattern clip, and you can see it here and how it's showing the volume automation in the pattern clip. And let's see here, I made this a whole measure long, so we'll go back here. I'm kind of zoomed out a little bit too far, and so I'll just use the draw tool, and I'll go da 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 da. And it's sometimes I'm not sure why it went. It's select. See, this is where snap is not engaged, and engaged. This is where snap is engaged. See how it's snapping to the 16th bar, every 16th bar here. And so, but if I had used the paint tool or alt clicked, then it does this. Basically, that's how you draw. And this is volume, and I'll just push play. And I've got I got the beats here, so so this one's going to be quiet, then it'll be loud, quiet. So 1, 2, 3. So that just gives you a rough idea of what you can do with the volume automation. Now, with the notes that I have on the kick, it doesn't make sense to really get that intricate. But if you've got melodic progressions, then it helps to be able to fine-tune what you're doing in this event editor window. The other thing that I find really cool is you get, this is set, you can set it down here, bring it up here, and set it low here. You can grab you can click the interpolation and highlight, release the button, and then you get more fine-tuned automation. And then what's cool about this is you go to Tools, go to Scale Levels, and you can adjust the tension and skew, range and center of all of this. And you can do it while you're playing. Provided that you have the, oops, I gotta loop this so that it keeps playing. Oops, I changed that. Oops, like that. And then you can change to the other parameter and adjust it while it's still playing. I just stopped it because I'm talking. I wonder if I said I didn't mean to say if I was editing the volume. I had it selected on the filter instead, but anyway, so the interpolation allows you to, if you wanted to, you could just set points. Like, oh, and remember on the if you automate the volume multiplier, the middle line here is actually going to be the 0 dB point or the neutral point here. If you go above it, you could throw your signal over dB and cause distortion. So, but if you want to do that, you can do that. So what's cool is you got to show a good version of you get it low, high, low, high. Oh, and the delete button here. Let's do that real quick. I'll show you. All you have to do is just highlight it and release the button and it goes away. So this is meant to really be useful and easy to use and not difficult and confusing. So, and then interpolation. So there's your distortion. But make sure anytime that you're putting in, adding in clips or the samples or adding a VST, it's a good idea just throw a compressor in there like Maximus, just to make sure things aren't clipping. Although you got to be aware of, like with the master, it's a good idea to have a compressor there. At least I think, but keep in mind that if you're adding multiple instruments together and they're coming into the master, that a signal, it might already be at 0 dB, and so when you add more signals, it's going to cause it to want to go over, and so the compressor is going to reduce that signal down, so it could cause unintentional ducking of other instruments when other instruments come in, like a kick coming in. Which would cause a signal to go over 0 dB, will cause all the signal to get ducked down while the kick's active, and you can get some unwanted harmonic interference from that. And so you always have to have room in your ceiling when you're adding stuff. After you've added everything, then you can increase levels and get saturation to peak so that everything's as loud as you would like it to be without it clipping. So I think I went over most of what you can do. So and here it's displayed in here, and you got two different shades going on. One's for the velocity or the volume multiplier, and one's for the x-axis or the x knob for the low-pass filter. And so instead of having a bunch of automation clips in the arrangement window taking up space, you can go into your pattern clip, and then in that pattern clip you can because there's no direct shortcut to this automation or event editor window, you have to, it'll either hit an F5 or F7. F5 goes to the arrangement window normally, F7 goes to the piano window normally, so you have to hit one of those buttons again. So F7 here is scrolling between piano and arrangement, and then you push, so F5, if you're already in the arrangement window, then you push F5 for the arrangement window, it should bring you to the event editor, like so. Anyway, so it's kind of interesting, I think. The other thing that I think that people would find fascinating with this is, I'm actually going to delete that because I don't want that now. Harmor here, I'm going to default saw wave. So I'm going to create an automation. I'll create a pattern clip for that, and just call it Harmor, and it's there. Draw it right there. Now, if you double click on it, normally it goes into the piano window, but if there's no notes in that pattern, then it's not going to. So you have to push F7, and then you make sure that your pattern roll is selected to your pattern clip Harmor, and just hit use a note you want to. I'll just use a low note because it's easier to listen to. Do that. I want to make it a couple of measures long because I want to show. Why is it choosing to go snapping between the grid? That's funny. Okay. So the reason is because what's cool about this, the event editor window is that you can link to an external controller one of the functions to adjust the parameters of it, like let's say in Harmor here. Actually, let's give this a track 2, throw a Maximus in it. Okay. And we'll just do the frequency here. Low pass filter. And let's get that out of the way. And remember how I talked about how you can put those event editors into the pattern clip of the instrument that you're using? If you didn't want to, you can create another pattern clip, and you can just name it event editor, Harmor, and give it a color, put it below, and then remember, go up to this button here, edit the events, filter one frequency, Harmor A, in the pattern clip, event Harmor, F9 to get rid of the mixer window, and if you want to know which way does what to the parameters, you can look at the little window up in the upper left-hand corner. The frequency looks like the filter's all the way open at the top and it's closed at the bottom, so it's easy to just go like that, and then over, let's see, it's 2 measures long, go like that, zoom out, go to Interpolation, oops, do that, and then automatically does that, and push play. I missed a step. Oh. So, and for further, watch this filter knob move. So, and I mean, you can get, like I said before, you can get real intricate with how you want that knob to be automating. Draw tool, up, down, up, some kind of down, up, and do some interpolation, that, and then remember you can do the tools. You can scale the levels, adjust the tension, the offset, multiply it up and down, move the center up. All kinds of cool things. also, you can do an LFO, a low frequency oscillator, and so you can do your automation based off of an LFO. And you don't have that option really in a pattern window. And so you can increase the speed of the LFO, and then how far up and down it pitches the automation, and the bottom of the automation, and even adjust the phase out. You know, if you're having phasing issues, and you can choose a square wave, a triangle wave, sine wave, and so on and so forth. And let's just slow that. And I'm thinking you might be able to automate the speed knob on the LFO, so you can have real-time LFO adjustment occurring while a sound is being played, to really, you know, mix it up and create some intricate, timing on sounds. So there's that, and notice that this event editor window pattern has automation in it, you know. And then, you know, if you didn't want it to be in the actual pattern clip for the VST, so you could do it, you know, however you want to do it. And then you can double click, it brings you right to the event editor window. So that's one benefit of making a separate pattern for the event editor window, is that if you get kind of mixed up between the F7 and F5 keys to try to make it there, like you're just, let me see if I can, like you're doing this and you can't, you're having a hard, you know, it just makes it simpler to get to the, you know, double click, boom, you're there at the event editor window for the all the parameters, anything you want, you can know. Even the, you know, all the things that were tweaked, that you initiated to edit, will be there under this tab, and you can click on them to edit them in that certain pattern, if that works for you. So, and the last thing that is really cool about this, and the reason that I made the pattern longer, is because I'm going to create a new pattern. We'll just call it Event Editor Harmer. Just call it a different whatever. So it's that. And what you can do, this is the cool part that you cannot do in pattern windows. So the filter frequency automation, instead this time, link it to a controller. This little window pops up. Really, you don't need to mess with anything there. And you reach over to your MIDI keyboard, tweak a knob. As soon as you tweak it, the window disappears. You look in the upper left-hand corner, and it shows the values. Press a note. Oh, and you can look at your VST, and you can see the knob move. And press a note. Okay, so anyway, so the cool part is, I will go into here. I gotta get to the event editor, volume, well, that's not what we're doing, filter frequency, push record, note and automation, at least, you gotta choose automation at least, and then so it's ready to record, it's armed, get your finger ready on your controller knob, and push play, and then tweak the knob. And it recorded your automation that you did manually using an external hardware controller. In case you're more adept to using knobs and stuff on your synthesizers and your keyboards, you know, outside your DAW, and that can always be handy. And of course, you can edit the recording. Like you missed a little spot here, or maybe it's, you know, you want it to. Oops, I'll use my, there we go, oh, take that off, and so on and so forth. So you can record any automation that you want off of external controllers with this event editor window, and then it shows up here, and you can combine them into the same pattern to keep your arrangement window clean. And, you know, the sky's the limit. So I thought I would make a little video mentioning this. So appreciate your time, and please like if you think the video is, informative, and subscribe. I'm going to be making more of these little tutorials in FL and Harmor, and maybe some other synthesizers. Mostly things that I haven't seen other people do. I'm sure everything's been explained out there, but in large part I haven't seen anybody talk about the event editor window, so I thought it would. Thanks for your time, and enjoy your day.